The tension on Today with Jenna Friends was palpable from the moment Blake Shelton walked on stage. Known for his charm, humor, and quick wit, the country star seemed relaxed at first, joking with the audience and even sharing a laugh with Jenna, Bush Hager. The crowd, charmed by his easy Southern drawl and playful banter, leaned in, expecting a lighthearted morning segment. Blake leaned back in his chair, legs crossed casually, and grinned as Jenna teased him about his reputation as one of country music's funniest men. He fired back with a joke about coffee being the only reason he was awake that early. For a moment, everything felt easy, warm, and familiar. But things took a sharp turn when the conversation shifted toward Blake's personal life, particularly his marriage to Gwen Stefani and the rumors swirling around their careers. Jenna pressed him on whether fame and constant public scrutiny had put a strain on their relationship. Blake's smile faltered. His body stiffened, his eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly, and his voice dropped lower than before. "I don't think that's something you get to ask me on live television?" The audience grew quiet instantly. The sudden silence in the studio was thick, the kind that makes every movement louder than it should be. A cough echoed from somewhere in the back, and the camera zoomed in, capturing Blake's expression hardening. Jenna, sensing the shift, tried to soften the moment by laughing nervously, brushing off the tension as though the question were harmless curiosity. "Well, fans just want to know," she added quickly, hoping to redirect the energy. But Blake wasn't amused. His Southern charm turned sharp, the edges of his words cutting through the stillness. "Fans deserve my music," he said firmly, each syllable deliberate. "They don't deserve me dragging my family drama out in front of cameras just because you want a headline." The audience clapped hesitantly, some applauding Blake's refusal to indulge gossip, while others looked uncertain whether to side with Jenna in her role as a host. Jenna's smile tightened. She shifted slightly in her seat, the playful warmth in her voice replaced with a defensive edge. "Blake, I'm not here for headlines. I'm here to connect with you. Sometimes that means asking tough questions." At that moment, Blake leaned back, folding his arms across his chest. His eyes stayed locked on Jenna, his expression controlled, but unyielding. "There's tough," he replied, his voice low and steady. "And then there's crossing a line." He lifted his hand and pointed a finger toward her, punctuating the words. Gasps rippled through the audience, the air in the studio crackling with tension. Jenna tried to maintain composure, insisting she hadn't meant harm. Her voice trembled, slightly, betraying the unease she tried to mask. Blake wasn't letting it slide. "You want me to sing a song? I'll sing. You want me to talk about my career? Fine. But don't you sit here and act like prying into my marriage is fair game." His voice thundered now, carrying across the studio with unmistakable force. A few members of the audience cheered, their support clear, while others sat frozen, caught between discomfort and fascination. Jenna attempted to steer the conversation back toward his music, nervously asking about his upcoming projects. But the rhythm of the interview was broken. Blake's jaw was tight, his hands clenched, and every answer he gave came out clipped, his usual humor replaced with curt precision. The exchange no longer felt like friendly banter, but like a negotiation, over respect and boundaries. When Jenna, perhaps without thinking, mentioned Gwen's name in passing, Blake's patience shattered. He shook his head, pushed his chair back with a loud scrape that echoed across the set, and stood. The audience erupted into shocked murmurs as Blake Shelton declared, "I'm done with this conversation. I'm not going to sit here and let my personal life become your entertainment." He didn't wait for Jenna's response. He turned and strode off stage, his boots thudding heavily against the studio floor. Cameras scrambled to follow him, producers shouted from behind the scenes, and chaos consumed the set. Jenna, forcing a strange, strained smile, turned back to the audience. "Well," she said lightly, though her voice quivered, "that's live TV for you." But no amount of levity could undo what had just happened. The tension hung heavy in the room. Producers rushed into whispered huddles, audience members exchanged bewildered glances, and within minutes, clips of Blake storming off were trending online. Hashtags like Blake walks off and Jenna versus Blake exploded across social media, spreading the fiery confrontation far beyond the studio walls. By the time the show went off the air, news outlets had already picked up the story. Headlines framed it as one of the most explosive daytime TV moments in years. Blake remained silent the rest of the day, his team refusing to issue any statement. That silence fueled speculation. Did he regret walking off, or was he standing firm in his decision? Fans flooded his social media with support, praising him for protecting his marriage and blasting Jenna for being unprofessional. Others, however, accused him of overreacting, insisting Jenna had only been doing her job. The debate split viewers, right down the middle, turning the incident into not just a viral clip, but a cultural talking point. The following morning, Jenna addressed the controversy on Today with Jenna Friends. Sitting at the table with her co-hosts, she admitted the interview hadn't gone the way she hoped, but defended her role. "Sometimes we ask questions that make guests uncomfortable," she said, "but the goal is never to hurt or disrespect anyone." Polite applause followed, but many viewers noticed her eyes betrayed frustration and unease. It was clear the storm off had shaken her, not just professionally but personally. Industry insiders began weighing in. Some argued Blake's dramatic exit might boost his popularity even more. Country fans admired his refusal to let Hollywood-style probing define him, reinforcing his image as a down-to-earth, no-nonsense star. Meanwhile, media analysts warned Jenna's credibility as a host could take a hit, especially if celebrities started fearing ambushes on her show. Rumors swirled that producers were scrambling to secure safe guests in the coming weeks to protect the show's image. Behind the scenes, sources close to Gwen Stefani revealed she was proud of Blake for standing his ground. "He doesn't let anyone push him around, especially when it comes to protecting their marriage," one insider said. Others, however, wondered whether the entire clash could have been avoided if both sides had tempered their pride with professionalism. What began as a light-hearted morning interview had spiraled into one of the most talked-about showdowns in daytime television. For Blake, the confrontation reinforced his reputation as fiercely protective of his private life. For Jenna, it became a lesson in the unpredictable nature of live television, where one wrong question can ignite a firestorm. For viewers, it was a reminder of how thin the line is between entertainment and invasion, sometimes thin enough to send a country superstar storming off stage. The fallout only intensified in the days that followed. Social media boiled over with hashtags, Team Blake and Team Jenna, fueling an online war between Shelton's fans and Jenna's loyal viewers. Clips of the storm off racked up millions of views within days, becoming one of the most watched talk show moments in recent memory. Blake finally broke his silence during a Nashville concert. Midway through his set, he paused, strummed his guitar, and addressed the crowd. "You all know me," he said. "I'm not about drama, but I am about standing up for my family. That's all I'll ever say on that matter." The arena erupted with thunderous applause. Videos of the moment went viral almost instantly. Gwen Stefani, who was also at the show, hugged him on stage, a gesture fans interpreted as her public show of support. Meanwhile, Jenna found herself under growing pressure. Despite her attempts to downplay the incident on air, critics accused her of mishandling the interview. Entertainment journalists argued she should have pulled back instead of doubling down on a sensitive subject. Tabloids ran bold headlines. "Did Jenna push too far?" and "Shelton storm sparks talk show crisis." Network executives reportedly debated whether Jenna should publicly apologize to Blake, worried the show could lose big-name guests. In an unexpected twist, Gwen addressed the drama during a radio interview. At first, she laughed it off, calling Blake stubborn and impossible to control. But then her tone shifted. "We love Jenna," she said seriously. "But sometimes people forget we're human beings, not just headlines." Blake did what he felt, was right, and I stand by him. Her comments softened the tone of the feud slightly, while also reinforcing Blake's right to walk away. The entertainment world wasted no time capitalizing on the drama. Late-night hosts cracked jokes, some imitating Blake storming off stage, others poking fun at Jenna's shocked face. Memes spread across the internet. One clip had Blake edited to look like he was leaving the set on horseback, while another turned Jenna's wide-eyed reaction into a looped gif. What began as a tense live television moment had transformed into pop culture fodder. Behind the scenes, Today with Jenna Friends producers scrambled to limit the damage. They booked softer, family-friendly guests for the following week, avoiding controversy and focusing on lifestyle topics. Ironically, ratings spiked after Blake's storm-off. Millions tuned in, curious to see how Jenna would handle herself. The very clash that threatened her credibility boosted her visibility, making it one of the most watched episodes in the show's history. Other country stars weighed in. Luke Bryan told reporters he understood Blake's reaction completely. "When you're on stage, you've got to protect your family," he said. "If I were him, I probably would have done the same thing." Dolly Parton, ever the peacemaker, encouraged both sides to move on. "We all say things we don't mean sometimes," she said gently. "Live TV is the hardest place for that to happen. I hope Blake and Jenna can laugh about it one day." Eventually, Jenna addressed the controversy more directly. Sitting at the round table with her co-hosts, she admitted, "Maybe I should have stopped when I saw Blake was upset. It wasn't my intention to make him feel disrespected. I admire him, and I hope someday we can talk again under better circumstances." Her words earned applause from the audience. Even some of Blake's fans admitted it was a classy move. Still, speculation persisted. Would Blake ever return to her show, or had the rift grown too wide? The clash sparked a bigger conversation about the role of talk shows in celebrity culture. Editorials debated whether hosts crossed the line when prying into personal matters. Some argued celebrities know what they're signing up for, while others insisted stars deserve boundaries, especially concerning their marriages and families. Blake's storm-off became more than just a viral clip. It became a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over privacy versus publicity. By the end of the month, both Blake Shelton and Jenna Bush Hager seemed to have moved on, at least publicly. Blake dove back into his tour, Gwen cheering him on from the sidelines. Jenna carried on hosting with her usual warmth. Yet the confrontation lingered in pop culture memory, replayed endlessly on highlight reels and countdowns of shocking live TV moments. Whether people saw Blake as a hero defending his marriage or as a star who lost his temper, one thing was undeniable. The fiery clash had etched itself into talk show history as one of the most unforgettable exits.